Welcome back, dear viewers. So in today's session, we will discuss about the general anatomy of the connective tissue. So what is a tissue? Tissue is nothing but a group of cells which perform a similar task or a function. So if we take the broad classification of the tissues, we have got four different types of tissues. So the first one is the epithelial tissue, and then we have got the connective tissue. Then the third type is the muscular tissue, and the last one is the nervous tissue. In today's session, we will be describing in detail about this connective tissue. So what exactly is this connective tissue? So as the name suggests, so connective tissue is the tissue which will help in binding the different tissues of the body. So this is the tissue which will help to bind the different tissues of the body. So the main function of the connective tissue is it helps in binding. So it helps to bind the different tissues of the body. Second one is it will provide a skeletal framework. So it will provide a support to the remaining tissues. So support, and it will form a framework, skeletal framework. And then what is the other function? Other function of this connective tissue is, so it helps in transport of certain substances into the tissues, to the cells. So it helps in transport. So how is transport? We will see in the later part of the session. Next, other function of this connective tissue is it helps in immunity. It also has a role in the defense mechanism. So one of the connective tissue cells are plasma cells, which are related with the production of the immunoglobulins. So they help in the defense mechanism. So other important feature is, suppose you're getting hurt somewhere, you have a cut on your body. The healing mechanism is also because of this connective tissue. The fibroblast cells of this connective tissue will reach the site and they will produce collagen in order to heal the wound. So other important function is in the healing. So these are all the functions of the connective tissue. So what are all the components of this connective tissue? So coming to the components, generally we describe it under two main headings. So it is actually made up of cells. It is made up, tissue. Any tissue, it will be made up of cells. So the main component of the connective tissue is it is made up of cells. Now these cells, they secrete one substance which is called as matrix. So this matrix, again, it is made up of two different types of substances. So one is the fibers and other one is the ground substance. So I repeat, the components of the connective tissue are cells and matrix. Again, this matrix has got fibers and ground substance. So if you take as a whole, within the connective tissue, we will have ground substance, we will have fibers, and we will have cells in between these fibers. So what are all the cells? So the cells, we generally describe the cells under two different kinds. The connective tissue cells, they are fixed cells and free cells. Free cells, they are also referred to as wandering cells. So what actually are these fixed cells and free cells? I told you two different types of cells. So fixed cells, they form the stable population and they are long-lived. These are present within the connective tissue itself. And the free cells, which I have mentioned as the wandering cells, they are short-lived. So that means they are continuously replaced, and these will enter the tissues from the blood when there is an inflammation. So those all will come under the free cells. The free cells will be discussed in detail when we deal about the cardiovascular system. So fixed cells, they are abundantly present and constantly present in the same place. So these are the fixed cells. So what will come under these fixed cells? The fibroblasts and the fibrocytes, of course. So inactive form of fibroblast is called as a fibrocyte. So fibroblasts, macrophages, mast cells, and the pigment cells and the reticular cells. So these are the fixed cells. Coming to the free cells or the wandering cells, here you have got the neutrophils, you have got the basophils, you have got the eosinophils, you have got the plasma cells, you have got the monocytes, and you have got the lymphocytes. So these are actually, they reach the site of inflammation. So that is why they are called as free or wandering cells. These are present abundantly in a particular position. So we are referring them to as the fixed cells. Now let's see what are the different types of fibers we see in this connective tissue. So there are three different types of fibers. One is collagen fiber. Then you have got elastic fibers. And then the third type is reticular fibers. So these are the different types of fibers which are present in the connective tissue. Next, coming to the ground substance. So this ground substance, it is made up of glycose, aminoglycans and proteoglycans. So proteins and the glucose together, the proteoglycans and glycose aminoglycans. So glycose aminoglycans are non-protein. So the example for this is hyaluronic acid. And coming to the proteoglycans, again they are subdivided by the presence of SO4, that is sulfate. So sulfated proteoglycans and non-sulfated proteoglycans. So the examples which we see under this sulfated proteoglycans are important ones: chondroitin sulfate, keratin sulfate, dermatan sulfate, heparin sulfate. So all these are, they come under this proteoglycans which will make up this ground substance. So now let's go into the detail one by one. So initially we will describe the fibers first, followed by the cells. Okay. So as I told you, the fibers, there are three different types of fibers. The three different types of fibers are, so we will try to make a tabulated form in order to differentiate the different types of fibers. So the fibers, there are three different types: collagen fiber, elastic fibers and reticular fibers. So coming to the property they exhibit. So collagen fibers which are there, they are thick fibers and these are non-branched. They do not branch. Non-branched and straight fibers which are arranged in the form of bundles. They are generally arranged in the form of bundles. So the collagen fibers, they are straight fibers and they are thick fibers and they are generally arranged in the form of bundles like this. Okay. So these bundles can branch but not the individual fibers. So these are the properties of collagen. They are thick, they are non-branched, they are straight and they are arranged in the form of bundles. Now what about this elastic fibers? Elastic fibers, they are short, They are wavy in appearance and they branch. Okay, so they are short and wavy and they branch, and they will show this branching pattern like this. Okay, so that is the feature of elastic fibers. Next, coming to the reticular fibers. Reticular fibers, they are nothing but a type of collagen fibers. So these are slender. The collagen fibers, they are thick, but the reticular fibers, they are slender and they will branch and they will form a network like. So they will form a reticulum like this. So these are the reticular fibers. They will branch and they will form a network or a mesh. So that is how they got their name, reticular fibers. So actually these are a type of collagen fibers only, type 3 type of collagen fibers. So these collagen fibers, if you see, there are actually 19 different types of collagen fibers are there. Okay. So for each type, we number them by giving Roman numbers like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that up to 19. So up to 19. This reticular is type 3 collagen fibers. So where is this type 1 collagen fiber present? It is present in the bone, it is present in the tendons, and this type 2 collagen fiber is present in the hyaline cartilage, and type 3, as I told you, it is forming the reticular fibers. Type 4 is present in the basement membrane. So somebody is asking you like a question, what is the type of collagen which is present in the basement membrane? That is type 4 collagen fiber. And type 5 is present in the anchoring fibrils of the basement membrane. So remaining things are not so important. This is about the collagen fibers. So collagen fibers, so where are they actually present? So this is where they are present. So elastic fibers. So elastic fibers, they are present in the blood vessels where elasticity is required. They are mostly present in the blood vessels where elasticity would be required. And reticular fibers, they form the skeletal framework for certain organs like liver, spleen, bone marrow, and the lymph node. This elastic fibers, they are also present in the lung. Okay. So what the location? This goes the location where they are present. Property is this. This is the location. Next, collagen fibers. What is the function of the collagen fibers? So the main function of the collagen fibers is to provide strength. To provide strength. We call it as tensile strength. Main function of the elastic fibers is elasticity or recoil. That means if you distort the shape of that particular thing, it should come back to its original shape after you distort it. Suppose like if you pinch your ear pinna like this, and if you leave it, it will get back to its original position. That is because of the presence of the elastic fibers. So that property is called as elasticity or recoil. And what is the function of these reticular fibers? It will provide support. As I told you, it will form the framework for certain viscera. So it will main function of the reticular fibers is to provide the support. So this is the difference between the three different types of fibers. So for your interest, if you are interested, the collagen fibers, they take up special stains. So those are called as Vangisons and Masson's trichome. So these are the special stains which we use to stain the collagen fibers. For the elastic fibers, we use Orsin stain. And for the reticular fibers, we use silver nitrate. Silver nitrate. So this is how the special stains for each different fibers. So I repeat now, the collagen fibers, they are thick and they are non-branched, they are straight and they run in bundles, they form bundles. Okay, and 90% of the fibers of the connective tissue are collagen fibers. There are 19 different types of collagen. So the protein which is present in collagen and reticular fibers is collagen, and the protein which is present in elastic fibers is called as elastin. So the protein which is present, which makes up these fibers, is collagen for the collagen fibers, and elastin for the elastic fibers, and collagen for the reticular fibers. Okay, so that is the protein which is present. And there are 19 different types of collagen fibers, out of which I told you the type 4 is present in the basement membrane, which could be asked like one of your MCQs. And the main function of this collagen is strength. It provides tensile strength. And these special strains are Langeson strain and Masson's trichome, and the protein which is present is collagen. Coming to the elastic fibers, they are short and they wavy and they will branch. And these are present in the blood vessels and the lung. And the main function is to provide elasticity and recoil. And the special stain used here is orcine. And the protein which is present is called as elastin. Next, coming to the reticular fibers. These are type 3 collagen fibers. These are slender, they branch and they form a network like or a mesh like, to provide the skeletal framework for the viscera like liver, spleen, bone marrow and the lymph node. So the main function is to provide support. And the special stain which we use to stain these reticular fibers is silver nitrate. So this is about the fibers in detail. Now, as you all know, matrix is made up of fibers and ground substance. So ground substance we have described in the previous part. So ground substance, it is made up of proteoglycans and glycosaminoglycans. So glycosaminoglycans are non-protein substances, and example for this is the hyaluronic acid. And this proteoglycans, basing on whether sulfate is present or not, they are divisible into sulfated proteoglycans and non-sulfated proteoglycans. And examples for this I have given you: the chondroitin sulfate, keratin sulfate, heparin sulfate and dermatan sulfate. So that is about the ground substance. Now we have a look at the cells. So what are all the cells which are present in this connective tissue? So we have described few cells. We have described the free cells and we have described the wandering cells. Now we will just have a look at the important cells which have got important function. So the fibroblast. So fibroblast. So this is how a fibroblast will actually look. Okay. So this is the fibroblast which has got a irregular outline, and if it is a fibrocyte, it will have a spindle shape. If it is a fibrocyte is nothing but the inactive form of the fibroblast. So whenever there is an inflammation or there is some injury where you require healing, you need collagen production. So we have seen the different types of fibers: collagen, elastin and reticular fibers. All these are being produced by this fibroblast. Okay. So the inactive form of fibroblast is fibrocyte. So whenever there is a requirement, it will get activated to form the fibroblast. So fibrocyte is a spindle shaped cell. Fibroblast will have got a irregular outline with a centrally placed nucleus. So the main function of this fibroblast is secretion of the connective tissue fibers. Secretion of the connective tissue fibers and as well as the ground substance. So all these are being secreted by the fibroblast. So it has got an important role in case of healing. Okay. Wherever collagen requirement is there, for the healing process, it is being produced by the fibroblasts. The other cell is macrophage. So macrophage, if you see, that also has got a irregular outline and it has got some processes. Okay. So this is a macrophage. So what is the important function of this macrophage? This function, it has got a function of phagocytosis. These macrophages will unite to form the giant cells. Where they are united, they will form the giant cells. So they help in phagocytosis. They will engulf the foreign body. So they help in defense mechanism. Okay. So it is irregular in shape and with processes, and it has got a centrally placed oval nucleus. So this is the shape of a macrophage. Now if we have a look at the other cells. So the other cells which we see, so we will describe the pigment cell. So pigment cell is star shaped. Okay, the pigment cell is star shaped and it is filled with granules. Pigment cell. So it has got a centrally placed nucleus and it is star shaped and it is filled with pigment granules. Those are the melanin granules. So what is the function of this melanin? It protects from the UV light. So it will protect the body from the harmful UV rays. So where are these pigment cells present? These are present in the skin. They are present in the iris, ciliary body, and they are of course present in some parts of the brain like substantia nigra. So these are the places where the pigment cell is present. The main function is secretion of melanin, which will protect from the harmful UV rays. Protection from the harmful UV rays is the function of this pigment cell. Next, the other type of cell which we see is the mast cell, which is more or less ovoid in a shape with the centrally placed nucleus. So this mast cell, it is mainly concerned with inflammatory response. So it will release heparin. So wherever there is a site of inflammation, this mast cell will reach the site of inflammation and it will release heparin, histamine and leukotriene and eosinophil chemotactic factor. So what is the function of this each? So heparin, as you know, it is an anticoagulant. It has got an anticoagulant function. And histamine, which is there, it acts like a anti-inflammatory. Okay. So histamine, which is there, it causes vasodilatation, that is dilatation of the blood vessels, and it will cause bronchoconstriction. So it will cause constriction of the smooth muscles which are present in the bronchus, that is the airway. The leukotriene also has got a similar function, and this eosinophil chemotactic factor which is there, it helps in attracting the eosinophils towards the site of inflammation. So these are the substances which are secreted by the mast cells. So it has got a role in inflammation. Next, this is the adipose cell. Adipose cell is large and round in shape with a peripherally pushed nucleus. So why it is peripherally pushed is the fat globules which are there, they will push the nucleus to the periphery, and this is filled with fat globules. Okay. So this adipose cell which is there, it helps in the storage of lipids and fat. Storage of fat and lipids. And next, coming to the plasma cells. The plasma cells, also the nucleus is eccentric, that is pushed to one side. And you see the nucleus gives the typical appearance of a cartwheel. So this plasma cell, it stores the immunoglobulins. So it has got a function in the immunity. Okay, and this particular appearance of this adipose cell, it is called as signet ring appearance. Okay, so these are the different types of cells we see in the connective tissue. So now, basing on the types of cells and the fibers which are present and the ground substance, the connective tissue, it is classified. So coming to the classification of the connective tissue, so basing on the type of cells, the number of fibers and the ground substance and all, this is classified into fetal connective tissue which is present at the time of development before birth, and adult connective tissue which is present in our body after birth. Now again, this adult connective tissue, it is divisible into two different types, that is ordinary connective tissue or the connective tissue proper and specialized connective tissue. So what will come under the specialized connective tissue? We have got the blood, we have got the bone and the cartilage which will come under this specialized connective tissue. Again, in this ordinary connective tissue, basing on their arrangement, whether they are loosely arranged basing on the number of fibers, loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue. Dense connective tissue means abundant number of fibers which are tightly packed. Okay, so loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue. In this loose connective tissue, you have got loose areolar tissue which is present in the lungs, loose adipose tissue which is present in the subcutaneous tissue and in the mammary gland, and loose reticular tissue. So reticular tissue, as I told you, it is present in the framework of the liver, spleen, bone marrow and the lymph node. Next, dense connective tissue. This dense connective tissue, again it is reclassified into two different types. So if the fibers which are there, they are arranged in a regular pattern, they are called as regular connective tissue, dense regular connective tissue. So that means they are arranged in a regular fashion in one particular direction, in the direction of the force. All the collagen fibers which are there, they are arranged in one direction of the force in order to provide tensile strength. So that is called as regular connective tissue. So the examples for this regular connective tissue is tendon, ligament and aponeurosis. Now if these fibers which are there, they are irregularly arranged in different directions. So some are running like this, some are running like this. So that is called as irregular, dense irregular connective tissue. So this is present in the subcutaneous tissue. So this is the broad classification of the connective tissue. I repeat, the connective tissue, it is divisible by the type of cells which are present based on the fibers which are present into adult and fetal. Fetal is present before birth, adult is present after birth. Now this adult is again reclassified into ordinary and specialized connective tissue. So the connective tissue which is specialized to perform some special functions is blood, bone and cartilage. This blood is also referred to as fluid connective tissue. Next, the ordinary connective tissue is classified into loose or dense basing on the arrangement of the fibers. So, in loose, you have got loose areolar tissue, loose adipose tissue which is made up of the adipose cells, and reticular tissue which has got more number of reticular fibers. And then you have got the dense connective tissue which is mostly made up of collagen fibers. So if the collagen fibers which are there, they are arranged in one particular direction, in the direction of the force, they are called as regular dense connective tissue. Example for this is the tendon, ligament and the aponeurosis. And if the fibers which are present, they are irregularly arranged, it will come under the irregular dense connective tissue. Example for this is the subcutaneous tissue. So with this, we come to an end of the general anatomy of the connective tissues. So in the coming sessions, we will discuss about the specialized connective tissues. So thank you for watching.